there are two types of entrepreneurs, and I want us to do a deep dive into this today. You see, there are people who gets into business and they believe that by flipping that coin, it's going to position you to be successful. So they're the coin flippers, and they're the entrepreneur who are like the sharp act. And from the get-go, you really want to pause and you want to ask yourself which one of these entrepreneurs you represent. And today I want to do a deep dive into this subject matter because our ultimate vision here is to provide you with the right content of information that will help you to make better business decisions. And let me say this: flipping coins does not make you smart. Flipping coins does not guarantee your business success. Flipping coins, you know, it is what we call funny business. And the last thing that you want to do is to be in business and to be involved in funny business. On the other hand, you have the sharp act. And the sharp act is called market research. The sharp act is called market intelligence. The sharp act is you taking the time to really understand your ideal client. The sharp act is you taking the time to really understand your ideal client and their needs and their wants and their expectations. And that is what literally enables you to make smart investment decisions. You have absolutely nowhere to go by flipping the coin in starting business. But the reality that we're seeing is that there are many persons that are getting into business that you want the success without the growth pain. And I call it growth pain because, of course, you see things like going to the ground to gather the market intelligence from the research. It's time consuming. And this is something that you don't want to grow through. I want to encourage you in 2023 as you position yourself to optimize your success in business. There's a right way and there's a wrong way in doing business. And I'm trusting with the information that we're going to be presenting to you that you're truly motivated to make the right choice. Now, in the first episode of this program, we talk about the importance of the cash flow projection. And I clearly outlined a number of significance behind the cash flow projection. And I want to encourage you to just pause a little bit if you haven't looked at the first program and take some time out and look at that program because we're going to be giving you a step-by-step approach of critical things that you can do to position yourself to make smart investment decisions, particularly when it comes to starting and scaling your business and possibly integrating your business and brand across the world. We specialize in helping you to accomplish these things. As time progresses, we'll definitely go deeper into that. Today, we want to talk about the cash flow game plan. And again, I want you to ask yourself, are you flipping coin or are you the sharp axe when it comes to truly understanding what is the cash flow game plan? And I'm going to walk you through a couple of concepts here as relates to the cash flow game plan. Now, the cash flow projection doesn't stand on its own. The cash flow projection, yes, is going to help you to understand the annual cash flow that you want to attain. It may even tell you the cash flow projection over the next 5 years. And these are important things for you to really take stock of, particularly so when you're getting into business. when you want to position yourself to make smart investment decisions. But I want us to do now a deep dive into what is the cash flow game plan. Do you have a game plan to cash flow? Now, what is the division of labor has to do with your cash flow game plan? Now, the division of labor is a reflection of the human resources that you will employ to help you move towards an end result. Now, the division of labor is going to represent things like your strategic team, your tactical team, and your operational team. Again, to attract the best minds, the minds that can really help you to drive a vision forward, you have to have a budgetary allocation for this. We have already talked about the budgetary allocation in the cash flow projection. And this is why the cash flow projection is not just telling you the amount of monies that you want to achieve at a given period. It also helps you to understand the human, technical, and capital resources that's necessary to achieve that cash flow projection. Now, in this case, we are talking about your division of labor. Your cash flow game plan is now going deeper into the type of human resources that you need. And you want to ensure from the get-go, as you begin to, elevate your cash flow game plan, that you're not just attracting and appointing and acclimatizing persons to your team by the whims and fancy of just doing that. You want to be certain that they have the necessary skill sets to function optimally in the division of labor at the strategic, tactical, and operational level. We will go deeper into that as time progresses. We also talk about, as you prepare now to implement your cash flow game plan, you want to be very clear about the cost of doing business. And there are two major costs that we're looking at here. That again would have been covered in the cash flow projection. But you want to bring it back here because you want to know at this particular stage where the money is going to come from. We're going to talk about that shortly. The cost of doing business is capsulated in two concepts. There's one that we call your administration cost and the operational cost. And there needs to be clear budgetary allocation to sustain the smooth functioning of these two critical elements of doing business. You see, in the absence of this, you're nothing more than the person who's flipping coin. You see, when you have the sharp axe is the person that do that research and have the intelligence. They understand the ecosystem of doing business, and we're going into that to you, which is the cash flow game plan. The third concept that I'm going to bring to you now is a concept that we call the capital allocation. So at the beginning, we started talking about the cash flow projection. It's a projection. Of course, we talk about when you're developing that projection, it should be based on market intelligence. But now you've done that projection, the cash flow projection, you want to be clear as you move towards the cash flow game plan. This is all the steps that you're going to be taking to cash flow maximize. You want to be very clear about where the monies are going to come from in terms of implementing the cash flow game plan. And I'm going to give you some information in terms of places that those monies can come from. One, it can come from a bank loan, and that's what we call debt financing. But let's go through a sequence of financial instruments. The capital to implement the cash flow game plan can come from debt, equity, credit, creative financing, or hard money lending. The truth is that not every business startup is going to reach the pre-qualification criteria for bank loan or commercial financing because they are pre-qualification that must be looked at. And these are, as you develop your cash flow game plan, You want to be clear about all of these things. So some of these problems can be fixed when you adopt the right people to the division of labor. Because let's take, for example, that you start in the business, but you yourself do not necessarily understand how to access the capital. So what you do, you appoint someone to your strategic team that might have had banking experience and have relationship with the banking fraternity. So because of that, they're able to help you to knock on doors and to sit in front of the boardroom and pitch your value proposition and get the level of support that you need. And this is what I mean when I say that it is not just appointing anyone to your division of labor. It's about taking the time to identify the key critical resources that is necessary to help you to move the vision forward. Now, there's 1,001 things and examples that we can look at here when it comes to the capital allocation to implement the cash flow game plan. And I must emphasize this. When it comes to doing business, you want to be like that sharp axe and not like the individual who is flipping coin. You see, you want to be the sharp axe is the individual who is that proactive leader, is the entrepreneur who is the proactive leader. It means that you're thinking ahead of the things that you need. You're seeing beyond the problems, the obstacles that can prevent you from coming one step closer to your dreams and your hopes and your aspirations. And you're empowering yourself to take informed action. Is either you're making yourself as sharp as that axe, meaning that you have the intelligence, or you're surrounding yourself with people who are sharp as that axe that can make the kind of input into your business to move that vision forward. You have to position yourself to be proactive. So the sharp axe is a representation of all of the above. Now, let us look at some other ways in which you can, you know, allocate capital or capital allocation to put into that business and the implementation of the cash flow game plan. There are a concept that we call the guarantee financing. Now, guarantee financing may come from, different types of, or sorry, grant financing. Grant financing may come from government agencies. Depending on which part of the world that you're at, you may have the federal government, or you may have state entities that are established to provide these type of intervention to business startup. And of course, in the United States of America, with a high population of over 300 million persons, and the need to fill the employment gaps, and there are a lot of support that is given to help businesses to grow and scale and create employment. So you find that state entities provide a lot of grant funding to help businesses to attain that. And the pre-qualification for this is something that you need to know. Are you being proactive about this? And so again, coming back to your division of labor, in your division of labor, you may have a subject matter expert that understands grant financing that can help you prepare the paperwork and tender the paperwork to the federal government, which depending on which part of the world you're at, to ensure that you're getting the kind of funding that you need to move a vision forward. So you want to be able to make smart investment decisions in your division of labor. You want to ensure that you have the best people, the people who have the right information that can help you to make smarter decisions to move a process forward. Now, I've given you two concepts, and I want to give you the last concept in terms of capital allocation. And this is a coin that we have termed, we have coined this ourselves at Pitch Deck 101, and we call this the subscription capitalization. And what exactly do I mean by the subscription capitalization? And let me give an example, a brief example. There are a number of magazines that attract some subscribers. And depending on how you build out your value proposition and how you pitch that value proposition to the potential consumers, you are able to get subscribers long before that magazine comes out. It's possible to have these things happen. And this is a very creative way in raising the capital that you need to pump back into your business. Perhaps you might have had on your division of labor, you may have perhaps someone who was in the publishing field and someone who is a social influencer who is able to leverage that combined knowledge of being in the publishing world and being a social influencer to help you to raise capital that you can now pump back into your business, depending on the type of business that you have. These are all possible. These are all creative ways in which you can raise capital. And of course, in Smart Investment Decision, our role is to bring some of these concepts to you to really help you to make better business decisions. Now, the fourth concept that I want you to look at as we talk today about the cash flow game plan is your value proposition. And this is what I'm talking about earlier. As you focus on the cash flow game plan, it's 90% about your value proposition. And what is the value proposition? The value proposition is what is being leveraged to cash flow your brand. In the case I've used earlier, perhaps your business is a magazine, and the magazine might be looking at issues like access to capital. The magazine might be looking at things like how to mitigate debt, because in the US alone, you have in excess of 90 million persons that are struggling to exit debt portfolios, and perhaps doing a magazine that appeals to those people might be, a viable project. So you start a project in these areas, and this becomes your value proposition. The value proposition that you're putting in front of people is that you're going to help them to understand things like how to buy credit, how to leverage credit, and how to exit a credit portfolio. Perhaps it might be across all those financial instruments. So that becomes a value proposition that you're now putting to your audience. Again, the value proposition in itself is 90% of your cash flow game plan. And I said 90% because you want to ensure that your value proposition has the ability to grab attention, to pique interest, arouse desire, to move potential investors into action, to want to support you. If the value proposition is not right, you are going to be significantly undermining the potential to cash flow that business. All right, the potential to raise capital from investors. Your investors can be all the things I have talked about when we talk about capital allocation. It could be the bankers, it could be government agencies, it could be your subscribers. And if your value proposition doesn't clearly establish how you're going to be adding value, how you're going to be fixing problems, it could be significantly undermined. Again, you really want to take the time to understand your target market. This is what we call the sharp axe. The sharp axe do the market research. You're not flipping coins here. You take the time to understand who you're targeting, their needs and wants and expectations, and then you build out your value proposition to appeal to those interests. Now let's get a little deeper here, because we're only now getting warm up with what we call the cash flow game plan. Now you have identified what it's going to take to implement your value proposition. It's now important for you to take the time to understand some very, very important concepts that we talk about. There is a system that we call the Business Value Proposition 101. And what is the business value proposition 101? At this particular stage, we're taking you the whole 9 yards of what it takes to implement that cash flow projection, of what it takes to really build out and implement your cash flow game plan. Now you know what is your value proposition. What's next? There are six additional concepts or seven additional concepts that I want you to really pause and think about here a little bit. You have your value proposition, but do you have what we call your visibility game plan? All right. Do you have your visibility game plan? This is absolutely necessary because if you have that value proposition, but then you're not visible, all right, it poses a challenge to optimize the cash flow projection. The cash flow projection can only be optimized from the cash flow game plan. And if your cash flow game plan is not looking at your visibility game plan, there lies a challenge. So, in your visibility game plan, and we will go deep into this over a period of time, you want to ask yourself, what is the strategies that you're using? How are you leveraging mass media, radio, television, newspaper? How are you leveraging social media? How are you leveraging independent communication platforms? And you need to take the time to really understand each of these things that we talked about. Because the last thing that you want is to be visible in an environment that your specific target audience are not attracted to. And this is one of the reasons why we talk about visibility and we talk about reach, the reach game plan. Now, what is the differences between visibility and reach? Research is showing that you may be visible, but you're not reaching your ideal client. And you're not reaching your ideal client because important concepts of implementing your cash flow game plan is disregarded. You see, to build a business is not about flipping coins. It's about being as sharp as that axe. You have done the market research. You have the market intelligence. You identify your specific target market. You know their needs and their wants and their expectations. You know exactly how to position the value proposition to reach them, all right, to make impact, to convert first-time users into lifetime customers, to build confidence and trust and credibility. So these are important concepts for you to really pause a little bit and ask yourself, do you have these game plans? Do you have your cash flow projection, first of all? And do you have the corresponding cash flow game plan that represents everything that I talked about? You see, in the absence of having these systems properly set up, you're flipping coin. All right? You're flipping coin. And you want to position yourself to be the entrepreneur that have market intelligence, that is in that position is trying to make informed business decisions. Now, I want to emphasize this. We at Global, we at Pitch Deck 101, we really take pride in what we do. And our mission in 2023 is to transform the world one business at a time. We have spent many, many years doing what we do. And we have written many books on the subject that we are talking about. We have built out relationships with people across the world with an effort of providing business leaders with the critical information that they need to make smarter investment decisions. All right, so I really trust that you would have enjoyed today's program. I want to encourage you to like, subscribe, and share. And there's a few more things that I want to share just before we pull the curtain down on today's program, but I want to emphasize, if you know someone is in business or someone intends to get into business, I want to share these podcasts with them. And today is only the 2nd of January, but as we go deeper into 2023, I will further unravel the cash flow projection. I will further unravel the cash flow game plan. And what do I mean by this? We will speak more candidly to how to build out your visibility game plan. And we will talk more candidly about the differences between visibility and reach. You want to know that as you leverage your visibility platforms, the right communication channels, you want to be certain that you're reaching your ideal client. If you're not reaching your ideal client, you could be wasting your time, you could be wasting money, and you can be frustrating the effort of that business to grow and scale. And that's the last thing that you want to do. You're in business to cash flow maximize. But to cash flow maximize, you need the right information. And we have done the groundwork so as to ensure that you have more than the right information, but you have access. You have access to people, you have access to market, you have access to capital to move your vision forward. Now, let me expand this just a little bit. At Pitch Deck 101, and I want to encourage you to go to our website. And go to our website, and I'm going to put it on the screen. Go to pitchdeck101.org. And I really want you to take some time to study what we are doing at Pitch Deck 101. We recognize the tremendous difficulty that businesses suffer. You know, the entrepreneur, the serious ones, you know, who is sharp as an axe. And you need some assistance. You start a business, and, you know, as you expand and grow, you need capital. You need capital. And we see that many businesses are struggling to raise capital. And even when you raise capital, you struggle to exit that portfolio. I'm happy to say to you that we at Pitch Deck 101, we have a very strong business ecosystem where, among helping you with your branding and marketing, we really help you to navigate the financial world. We help you to understand financial portfolios, debt, equity, credit, creative finance, and hard money lending. We believe it is necessary for you to understand these financial instruments because it is only in understanding these instruments that you're able to make a smart investment decision in terms of which one of these instruments is best for you or which of the financial mix is better for you. Things that we will talk about is how to possibly access different types of financial instruments and how to navigate interest rates. You know, depending on where you are in the world, there are always this talk about high interest rates. But when you understand financial instruments, you will begin to recognize that there are certain types of financial instruments that you can access with 0% APR for 12 to 18 months. And that is music to the entrepreneur ears to know that you can access capital and you have 0% APR for over a year and 6 months. That is major capital leverage. But that is not the pinnacle of what we're going to be supporting you with. We will definitely be helping you to understand those portfolios. We have built a relationship with critical financial institutions to also help you access capital, meaning debt, equity, credit, creative finance, and hard money lending. We have built out relationships with multiple partners that can really create the ease of doing business in the US. But I must emphasize this. We're talking here about US-based business. We are talking here about foreign nationals who have an interest in starting a US-based business. We're going to help you navigate this entire process, get you properly set up, and get you access to market and get you access to funding. We have this ecosystem that is built up. All right. We have a number of financial experts that are going to be working with you also. So we talked briefly about understanding the capital portfolios and accessing the capital portfolios. But it's important also for you to understand how to leverage. Perhaps your way of leveraging is not optimum. And let me give an example. Let us suppose that you do extremely well in taking that capital and cash flow in the business. Kudos to you. But what do you do with the excess liquidity? Do you have it sit dormant? Do you have it sit in a 0.1% interest bearing account? Or do you identify smart investment portfolios? Do you identify smart income producing assets that can give you the tremendous leverage that you need to cash flow maximize? We have financial experts that will be talking to you about all of these different things so you can make smart investment decisions. And last but not least, as you buy debt, it's very, very important for you to understand the cost of that debt over the life cycle of that debt. And the monthly interest rate is not enough for you to look at. It's not enough for you to say that the interest rate is high or the interest rate is low. You want to know the total cost for that debt over that debt life cycle. There is so much about debt mitigation that you should pause and ensure that you have the right financial advisors on your side to really help you understand this entire ecosystem. I want to assure you that we can help you save hundreds of thousands of dollars, US dollars, in investment portfolios. When you have all the facts, when you have the right support to run you, you too can save a whole lot of money. And those money now can be reinvested into smart investment portfolios. So take the time and look at Pitch Deck 101 and see what we are doing. And I want to encourage you to reach out to us for your first free consultation so we can learn about your business, see where you're at, and figure things out, because we don't prescribe unless we diagnose, and we are interested in building that relationship with you, really getting to understand you. We're helping so many different persons from around the world. We're working with clients from Australia. We're working with clients from Canada, the United Kingdom, and the USA. And in 2023, we believe that we are your best choice. And we encourage you to reach out to us so we can start that conversation. And let me give you some icing on the cake. We have financial partners that they will go to the ground and do that work for you. And you don't have to pay any money up front. Zero money up front. You will start to make payments for the work that they have done after you would have get your funding. It's just like some lawyers, lawyers in the US, they know that they have a good fighting chance to fight your case and win your case, so they're going to take your case out. No money's up front, but when they win your case, you're going to pay. But this is not just about all of that. We will show you seriously how to cash flow maximize. So we have a strong team at Pitch Deck 101. So I really trust that you would have enjoyed today's program. And my name is Gary Thompson. I'm a business development consultant by profession. I'm a humanitarian by nature. And I'm the self-published author for several books, including 10X Branding and Marketing Blueprint. And it has been a pleasure being with you. So remember, in 2023, I want to leave you by saying this. You have your time, your talent, and your resources, and you want to use it wisely, because with your time, if you use your time unwisely, foolishly, you cannot get back time. It's one of the most precious things that we have. So you want to optimize your use of time. Do you really know how to optimize your use of time in business and in life? Your talent, and this is solid advice I'm saying to you, You don't want to invest your time into nurturing talent that is not going to give you the return in the short term or the long term that you want. As time progresses, we're going to get into some very, very critical conversation because we're seeing millions of people across the world are working tremendously hard to achieve the dream, the dream. But guess what? They don't have the right talent, and many of them are not fully aware of it. We talk about the good education, and we talk about the right education. The right education prepares you and enables you to attain wealth. Do you know enough about the right education system? We also talk about resources, and this is something that I can't emphasize enough. Are you investing your time, your talent to build healthy, productive relationships with the right people? If you're not invested in building healthy, productive relationship with the right people, you're gonna be challenged. Now, I'll talk some more about this later on. We have another program, and I permit me to do some promotion here that we call Cracking the Wealth Code, Filling the Wealth Gap. That's going to be coming soon. Cracking the Wealth Code and Filling the Wealth Gap. And we're going to do some deep dive into this. So we have so much in store for you in 2023, and we're so excited for this new brand year and the possibility of building healthy, productive relationship, not with the coin flippers. All right, we want people who are sharp as an axe. Now, you may be a coin flipper, but you must be willing to become as sharp as that axe. We're going to work with you. So we can ensure that as you set out to start a business, you have the right mentors, the right coach, the right support around you that really enables you to be successful. So if you're the individual who wants to achieve more in business, in life, perhaps you don't know exactly what are the next best steps to take. Your choice should be Pitch Deck 101. Be blessed and see you in the next broadcast.